We have just 2 weeks remaining in the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV, and what an exciting thrill ride this championship has been. Hello everybody, my name is Paul Smith, joined as always by Peter Mackay. And Peter, just 2 weeks remaining here in this championship, and when we go through the standings in just a moment, there's very little to pick apart, everyone.
It's been a crazy season, hasn't it, with ups and downs for so many drivers. They've all had quite different routes to this point, but as we were talking about pre-broadcast, I mean, every championship is still up for grabs, some incredibly close, and we're going to have lots to talk about, not just tonight, but in 7 days' time for our season finale as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This week, of course, we are going to be racing around in one of our feature events. So it's the final feature event of the season. So that's 2 40-minute races with mandatory pit stops. And race 2, of course, does get an inverted grid set by a reverse grid wheel, which we'll show on broadcast. But let's have a look at where we are in the season then this season. We are at Hockenheim, the penultimate round of the championship, as I say. We have one more round of the championship to go in 1 week's time at the Red Bull Ring. But Hockenheim, it's not the same as its former glorious self, is it, Peter? It is quite a truncated circuit compared to what it was.
It is, but I have to say, in most, modern reworks of circuits tend not to capture the magic of the original. But actually, I have to say, I'm a big advocate for the modern day Hockenheim, not in terms of an absolute thrill ride qualifying lap for the driver, but for racing. There's some great opportunities for overtaking. In particular, watch out for the very tight hairpin at the bottom right of your shot there, Spitzker. We could see some well set up moves in there. We could also see some rather ambitious ones as well, so keep an eye out on that corner.
Yeah, you do want to keep an eye on that, but what we are keeping an eye on is the championships here, because Luke McEwen and Ross McFarlane, there is very little to separate the two of those as we're heading into these final 2 weeks of the championship. We have got news of penalties, which we'll go through after this when we're looking at the grid. Josh Thompson, 3rd place with his teammate Jack Sedgwick in 4th. Adam Volkovich has had a good second half to the season. He's 5th ahead of David Baker in 6th place. Michael Avdoka, Adam Watson, Pete Harrod and Ashler Finch round out your top 10 of Pro-Am. I mean, this is close as well between Mark Hutchinson and Paul Webster. That is your May 2 championship protagonists there. Don't write out Christian Rose and Tim Perry either from the championship hunt. Chris Van Der Ness in 5th with Andy Archer. Matt Woodhouse, James Crouch, Ben Gregory and Brendan Stacey are your top 10 in Pro-Am. In your AM standings, it's even closer. James Whitehouse and Lars Van Rijn just separated by 6 points there ahead of Adam Hedgecock, who's 100 points off of the leader. Michael Blake then a further 7 points from him. Martin de Jong, Jack Osborne, Kevin Kittleman, Jack Belton, Toby Ward and Nick Salaputis rounds out your top 10 of your AM standings. In the team standings, it is a sizable lead for Pure Sims Esports over the German SimRacing.de by ACV team, with Pure Sims SimLab in 3rd place. Your Pro-Am, I mean, that's incredibly close as well. Just 45 points separating Century Sim Racing and Simmortal, with Boosted Sim Sport now 3rd place in Pro-Am, 10th overall. But I touched on penalties, Peter. We have got a sizable amount of penalties. What was it? 13 penalties for us in this first race.
Yes, the following drivers have been sent to the back of the grid or have been given a qualifying ban. They are, deep breath, Adam Stay, Adam Watson, Chris Van Den Ness, Felix Elsner, James Whitehouse, Jesse Payne Wilkins, John Roberts, Johnny Walker, Josh Thompson, Kevin Kitterman, Michael Blake and Simon Field. And last but not least, Luke McEwen, who not only has a qualifying ban for race 1, but he is starting from the back in race 2 as well.
Yeah, so a sizable chunk of the grid. 51-car grid, by the way. So it's great to see a huge grid around here for the World GT Championship. And we'll be getting you your grid in just a few seconds' time here, because this is going to be an absolute thrill ride. 2 40-minute races coming up for you here. And on pole position here today, it is going to be the driver of Ross McFarlane, sharing the front row with Michael Evdoka. Jack Sedgwick and Adam Volkovich then are your next two on the grid, with Marvin Lesmulman and Selim Senturk row number 3. We'll get you those graphics up on screen. There we go. Selim Senturk, brilliant qualifying for him, the top pro-am in your standings. Reese Carroll, Leon Payne, then on row number 4 with Philip Koenig and Ashley Finch on row number 5. Alex Neller and Christian Rose round out row number 6. Row 7 for Mark Hutchinson and Tom Brown. Eric Haag and Pete Harrod, then row number 8. Jack Osborne is your top AM driver on row number 9. Alongside him is Jensen Adriansen, who will be hoping for a less eventful race this round. Andy Archer and Tim Perry round out your row number 10, with Paul Webster, Simon Neller row number 11. Row 12 for Adam Hedgecock and Lars van Rijn, the two Boosted drivers starting alongside each other. Next row of the grid then is Brendan Stacey and Mark Woodhouse, with row 14 shared by Andy Gilmore and Nick Salapoutis, who has been improving throughout the season. It's been really good to see with his first AM podium last time out. Lee Berridge and Brian Crone round out row number 15. Row 16 for Ben Gregory and Jack Belton, Craig Jones and Graham Sesford, then the next row of the grid with Adam Magic Sakovic and Toby Ward. David Nichols, and then drivers who are starting with grid penalties: Josh Thompson, Luke McEwen, Adam State, Adam Watson, Mike Horder. And we still go on with the grid: Jonathan Walker, Simon Field, John Roberts, Kevin Kittleman, Chris Van Der Ness, Martin de Jong. And then the final 3 positions of your grid is James Whitehouse, Michael Blake and Jesse Payne Wilkins. Right, Peter, 51 cars on the grid. This could not be any more exciting or any better for us here today.
It certainly is. I mean, at the top of the championship, Luke McEwen leads by just 34 points from Ross McFarlane, who has been, well, he won last week at Watkins Glen. Can you believe it? His first win of the season on round 10. Whereas his rival Luke McEwen has had 8 race wins, but they've got to their point score in a very different way. McFarlane by being very consistent, and Luke McEwen with his blistering speed. But tonight, Luke McEwen has got so much work to do to try and outscore his championship rival, Ross McFarlane, who started off his day in the best possible way.
And it's worth pointing out as well for everyone at home that this is the last week that drop scores can be taken, because for the final, your score matters. You have to score good in that final week to get yourself the championship. But the drivers are heading their way around the final corner now. They'll be looking to the checkered flag, to the green flag, as Barney waves it away for the start of this World GT race here at Hockenheim. Thundering past our starting position here, down towards turn number 1, in towards turn number 2. So far so good. People keeping going, people keeping clean out there. Oh, I say that, and there's contact. That's one of the Subortal cars and also a boosted car. I believe that was
Woodhouse.
Woodhouse, yeah, and Hedgecock.
Oh, poor old Adam Hedgecock. Oh, he's in the fight for the AM Championship as well, and that's the worst possible start for the boosted Lamborghini driver. And of course, we see that often at Hockenheim. If someone goes off there, it can cause quite a roadblock for the drivers coming through. Here come the dive bombs at the Spitzker. My goodness me. Oh, 3 wide into there. Somebody. Oh, Biff. It is properly unruly going into there.
Yeah, I think that was Ben Gregory who got a little bit of a tap around there. Drivers still carrying on and sorting themselves out here in the early going. Of course, 40-minute race, and it's 2 40-minute races here for the drivers, so they need to... They don't need to panic, and they don't need to drive like the pants are on fire immediately, but for some of those drivers starting further back, they want to try and get through and push on.
Yes, they do, and particularly if your name's Luke McEwen, you've got to try and get through the field clean and quickly. Only 40-minute race. You really got to make the moves and get the strategy correct as well. Of course, we have a mandatory pit stop in each of our 40-minute feature races tonight, but at the front, Ross McFarlane looking so confident in the number 1 car, on pole position and leading away nicely, and he's got a great bit of rear coverage in the form of his teammate Michael Evdoka.
Here's the replay of what happened to Mark Woodhouse and Adam Hedgecock getting together the two of them, but managed to avoid any further contact out of there. Ben Gregory is onto pit road, as is Andy Gilmore, so I think some early pit stops to get repairs are underway, but everybody's keeping going, and we have got green flag racing throughout the early stages of this race, which is always what we want to see here. So as you say, McFarlane leads by 8 tenths of a second, and then Jack Sedgwick third place ahead of the ever improved Adam Volkovich throughout the season. Really done well. Selim Tenturk, the top Pro-Am, in 5th place, doing a fantastic job for Team Year 1, ahead of Marvin Lesmolman, Reese Carroll, Ashley Finch, Philip Koenig and Christian Rose round out the top 10, and that is what happened between the 777 and I think Luke McEwen. Yeah. So that was Simon Neller and Ben Gregory who got together, and Luke McEwen, the innocent party, just had to take to the grass.
He did, and I don't know if he got any contact when he came back onto the circuit. The camera just cut away at the last moment there. So, well, that is the risk. That is why it's such a penalty to be starting deep in the grid or at the back of the grid, is that these incidents, they can catch you out. So, oh dear, big drama already.
Josh Thompson sporting a new livery there, giving us getting a look at the Team Redline livery there.
That's how rumours begin.
Yes, well, him and Luke are friends. Let's not forget that out there. So those two, of course, Luke McEwen signed for Team Redline this year, and Josh Thompson was racing with him this weekend, wasn't he, in the BMW Sim GT Cup? So they are working to... Well, in this series, they're not working together because, of course, Josh Thompson's teammate is the man in 3rd place, Jack Sedgwick, who has his Inex Racing livery. There we see that Ferrari, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Audi. Interesting to see those mid-engined cars seem to be faring well here compared to the front-engined BMW.
Yeah, to say there's a lot of quite high-speed changes of direction at Hockenheim. I wonder if that's where the mid-engine cars really kind of coming into their own. As you see a battle a little bit further down the field, it's the Indy Autosport Lamborghini number 78 going past Maciej Sakovic, and I think was that Kittelman? Yes, it is 78. Kevin Kittelman in the Indy Autosport Lamborghini. So Sakovic has to give best form now, and wringing the neck of that Porsche, of course, very fittingly going past the Porsche Experience at Hockenheim. Of course, Hockenheim, a very important circuit for development for Porsche.
Absolutely, Porsche having their Porsche Experience Centre there. As onto the brakes, Jack Sedgwick seems to be getting a little bit held up here by Michael Evdoka, isn't he? Because Ross McFarlane is running away at the front. I think Evdoka is trying to help his teammate out and trying to play a little bit of rear guard right now.
Well, Evdoka certainly played that part a week ago at Watkins Glen to keep Ross McFarlane's rivals at bay. But here comes Sedgwick. He's having none of it. He's managed to prise open a gap. And is Evdoka going to fight it? No, he can't. I mean, that is some brilliant driving there from Jack Sedgwick. He did it without bumping and barging, but he just managed to squeeze through. And Evdoka, to be fair, Evdoka didn't do anything, below the belt there. He did allow the room when Sedgwick looked for it. So clean racing enough. Now let's see what's pace Sedgwick has got underneath that NX Ferrari, because Ross McFarlane, well, he'll want that gap to stay at that 1.9 seconds. He doesn't want to have Jack Sedgwick on his case. He needs a maximum score, does McFarlane.
He certainly does, and Sedgwick, we've seen how blindingly quick he can be in that Ferrari, but how he can also make strategies work for him as well. And certainly this season, Sedgwick, he's had his misfortunes. I think it is fair to say that he has got involved in a few incidents that weren't of his own making, and it unfortunately ended up getting damage to retire his race. But yeah, Sedgwick now pulling away from Evdoka, abusing the track limits, and that's going to be something, especially at turn number 1. It's so easy to pick up an off-track penalty through that right-hander, and it's so easy to get your instant points racked up. For those of you keeping count, every 20 instant points that you get, you get a drive-through penalty automatically administered by the race control. And here's Reese Carroll looking forward at Selim Centre, because this is battle for 6th and 7th places right now, as side by side further back, Christian Rose and Alex Neller duking it out as well.
Yeah, Alex Neller hoping for a nice clean run tonight in his Lamborghini. Of course, Alex, I don't envy Alex, because he's having to do the making sure that all of the sessions are set up correctly and in time, and then he's got to focus on his own driving as well. That's a pretty thankless task, I'm sure you'll agree, Paul.
Yes, it's. I mean, to be fair to him, he's generally been really quick with the session changes between the two races. But there was one nightmare week. Let's not forget that one. Me and you had to chat for about half an hour. But
we enjoyed it. We don't get those chances very often to waffle with the best.
So, I will be keeping a track, by the way, of the instant points, because I do have that ability on my end. So I'll be keeping an eye on if people are close to a penalty. I won't say who, as we'll look here now at Craig Jones. Good to see him out there, the number 8 driver in that Lamborghini. He's got the Porsche, Team Mad Porsche behind him. Here's Luke McEwen, trying to make some moves then. So Luke, after that instant, is behind Brendan Stacey. Look at that line that they take. Just so confident. Oh, a bit of a squeeze from Stacey there. McEwen should be able to hang it out around the outside in that Lamborghini. Lee Berridge in front. Well, he won't. He's not one for just jumping out of the way, is he? He's one that certainly does try and fight his own as we look forward, because Reese Carroll is battling with Selim Centurk as well. So 6th and 7th, there's action all the way, Peter.
There is, yeah, and it's fascinating watching Luke McEwen coming through the field here as well, because remember, the reason why he's got the penalty that he does, or one of them anyway, for this week is, Centre, now I don't know if he got a touch there, but a huge big wiggle and somehow hangs on to it. That's not easy in that quite unruly Audi there, but great save there from Centre. But yes, coming back to McEwen, I mean, he'll have last week very much in the memory, of course, having an incident with Adam Watson in the Porsche going up the S's as well. Spin for Neller.
No, Tim
Perry with
Thompson.
Josh Thompson.
Was he helped, or was he pressured into a mistake? Because that could be another reason why.
No, quite possibly. But yes, I mean, McEwen had, shall we say, a pretty strong disagreement with a number of drivers in the paddock about, the pecking order in the paddock, and in terms of the allowances on track, etc. So this is going to be fascinating. Well, there's your answer.
He was alongside. There was a gap there.
No. Sorry, that's no.
It's a late on the brakes, and he hasn't gone up into him.
No, too late for me.
It's that type of move that you have to make though at Sachs Curve if you're going to.
If you're Tim Perry, you are screaming right now.
Yes. Oh no, absolutely. I'd agree that if I'm Tim Perry, I'd be screaming right now. But I mean, he was alongside. Yeah.
No, he wasn't. I'm sorry. No, he wasn't alongside. He wasn't even at the mirror, let alone right alongside.
Well, what we can agree on is that we've got to by alongside of each other here. And this is further down in your order. So that's one of your Pure Sims esports drivers further down. And working his way through. Just got past one of the Parabellum cars. That's moving up positions in that one. As they go through that... I want to call it the new section, but it's not. It's 2002 this track was reshaped and redesigned. And it's really come along. And it's now 30 years old is this layout of the circuit. It's unbelievable.
20.
Yeah, 20 years.
28 minutes of this race to go here at the Hockenheimring. This is airs of Heindorf and Shaw here correcting each other all the way.
Listen, I've got about 5 different screens here. I'm looking at information all over. I'm trying my best. McFarlane, to be fair to him, is actually lapping a little bit quicker than Jack Sedgwick out there. So he's holding his own up at the front, and Sedgwick's not making any inroads to him. As we're looking at Paul Webster, he's got Andy Archer with him in that Century Sim racing car. As that's, I believe that's Graham Sesforth's going for a little bit of a wild ride there, going into the old stadium section. And meanwhile, Andy Archer and Paul Webster still absolutely together, and Webster better drive out of the hairpin. That is one thing that will be helping him with that Porsche, with the engine right over those rear wheels.
Yeah, that's where the Porsche really comes into its own and makes up a lot of the lap time, is that out of corner traction, out of slow corners, particularly the Spitzker. The Porsche is just a dream there as well. You've got, like you say, the weight of that 4-litre flat six engine over the rear wheels, and that's what gives it that real boogie out the corner. That's what made the 911 such a good rally car before four-wheel drive came in, because the driven wheels, the rear wheels, had so much traction.
Yes, and they were an extremely good rally car, weren't they, the Porsche 911? So, and the people keep on trying to bring back Porsche into rallying, don't they?
Yeah.
There are some that have worked on rally versions of Porsches, and it's great to see with the modern stuff. Now, we've got two drivers together, and that's Josh Thompson getting his way past the Season 7 champion, Pete Harrod. So Harrod losing the position, and look here, Luke McEwen has now caught up to this fight between Archer and Webster.
Yeah, and Luke McEwen is. I'm going to be really curious to see when Luke McEwen decides to take his mandatory pit stop, because in clean air he's faster than anyone. He's proven that over. That's not arguable. He has definitely been the fastest driver over one lap this season. His race wins attest to that. His pole positions attest to that. But he needs the clear air to do it. He makes a good move there on Harrod. But now it gets interesting. He's got to try and make his way past the 888 of Paul Webster. Excuse me, that was Andy Archer who went by, his teammate. But yes, the 888 of Paul Webster is next up, but it's only going to get harder as he keeps coming through the field. So I wonder when McEwen is going to take his pit stop and try and get that clean air.
It's worth pointing out to anybody new watching this series as well, the points, there are 3 different classes of driver out there. So you've got your Pro-Am and your Am. Where they finish, though, is the points that they take into their championships. There's not separate points for Pro, separate points for a Pro-Am and separate points for Am. It is wherever you finish out there on track, that is where the points that you take into your championship fight. So even though, like in that situation, you have Paul Webster, a Pro-Am, against Luke McEwen, who's the Pro Championship leader, Webster wants to score as many points as possible because he's in a Pro-Am championship fight with Matt Hutchinson.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Every driver's fighting for their own purpose here, and because we have such close championships in all 3 classes, therefore there are effectively more cars out on circuit who have so much to fight for. So that does make it even more difficult for people like Luke McEwen trying to come through the field, because he's going to come across the people fighting for the Am Championship. Then once he's finally got past them, he's got to deal with the people fighting for the Pro-Am Championship, and then hopefully make his way to the front. But with 24 minutes to go, progress-wise, our championship leader up to 19, so he's gained about 15 places or so. 20
places.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
It is impressive,
with a trip
absolutely.
Through the gravel.
With a trip through the gravel, avoiding an accident. Yeah, that's certainly it's testing his ability of being able to work through a field. And if you can work your way through a field cleanly, that puts you in good stead for if you do eventually make it to a World Championship level. Say something like the Porsche Tagore Esport Super Cup, where a lot of those drivers are used to turning up in a race and being right at the front and just driving away from everybody. They get into that championship, and all of a sudden they're in big packs and they're not used to that level of driving and that intensity of driving.
Yeah, and I think also that even just to qualify, of course everybody has to qualify for the Porsche Taycan Esports Super Cup at some point, and arguably the qualifying is even more difficult than the series itself. Once you're in, you're in. But
it's a doddle,
well, comparatively, yeah. But And also, there is an element of lottery in the qualifying as well, in terms of the on-track incidents, etc., because you've got everyone who's just so desperate to get into the Premier Series in sim racing, to aim for that big money prize and to become a pro driver. But this is where, drivers that take part in championships here, like the World GT Championship, they develop the skills and the experience to head on to that next level.
I can tell you now that as of this moment, there are one driver with 17 instant points. Bearing in mind that 20 instant points gets you a drive-through penalty, and there are 2 drivers with 18 instant points in this race already. So I think we're going to be seeing a number of drive-through penalties here in this race as we head towards the halfway point. Now, Michael Blake did come onto pit road last lap, so he's taken his pit stop. I believe a couple of others as well. Craig Jones came onto pit road and got his pit stop done. Do you leave it to the halfway point, or do you wait until as late as possible to take on as little fuel as possible?
I think it totally depends where you are in the race and where your track position is and how you feel that your pace is going. I mean, all the drivers will know what their race pace they want and what their target lap time is, and they have, all these GT3 machines have, lap time deltas on them, so they'll tell you, the driver knows exactly where they are in terms of pace, and they'll know if they're on the pace or if they're behind it. So if you're Ross McFarlane, I would just run that tank dry. You've got clean air, you've got 2.1 seconds behind you to Jack Sedgwick. Just keep lapping, just keep hitting your apexes, and it's all going very much to schedule right now for Ross McFarlane. I would run that tank right down, take a splash at the end, and hope and come back in the same position you joined the pit lane.
This race for 5th place, by the way, is just staying as they are at the moment. You've got Reese Carroll leading that one up. You've then got Marvin Lesmorman, who we've got giving us access to his point of view. You've got Selim Senturk, the top Pro-Am, behind him in 7th place. And Ashley Finch and Philip Koenig rounded out that queue of cars there. They're all just holding station. Do you get the feeling that they're thinking fuel strategy, take on as little fuel as possible at the pit stop, do lifting and coasting, and generally try and push, but not be pushing too hard right now?
I think if you're a driver and the car in front is going to take too much risk or too much stress to try and make a move and isn't actually going to maybe gain you any overall lap time by overtaking, then yes, that's exactly what you do. You use the car in front as a little bit of a kind of windbreak and do some lifting, coasting, do some fuel save, and make that flop, make that kind of hop over in the pit stops. So it's going to be fascinating to see who's been lightest on the throttle.
Well, speaking of pit stops, Josh Thompson's decided the halfway point of the race is the time to come in. I mean, he had gained 23 positions before he came onto pit road. And I'm looking at his time, he's still there. Now he's going 14.5 seconds, call it. That's the longest pit stop that we've had out there.
The only thing for Josh Thompson is he will not have been doing any fuel saving because he's had to make his way through the pack. So he has not had that luxury. Every single time he's had an opportunity to overtake, he's had to pounce. Likewise, Luke McEwen. So let's see how that one plays out. Is Berridge and Adam State having a proper side-to-side here? Berridge in the BMW, State in the Porsche. Now, it's Porsche. Oh, Adam State's Porsche just snaps on him there on the transfer weight.
I think he just touched the grass as well on the edge of that curb, didn't he? It was pushing the limit, as here we are from the driver's eye view of Adam State, the satellite racing driver, trying to push Lee Berridge and force a mistake out of him. We've seen one heck of an improvement from Lee Berridge this season, haven't we, compared to last season? He really has done well. In fact, he did too well, I would say, and got himself promoted from Am to Pro-Am in this season.
That he did, yeah. Oh, Adam State has a look at the inside, but decides not to put a half-hearted move in there. And Berridge hangs on to the place for now. Yes, Lee Berridge has driven very, very well. And, I think if you're improving your overall points haul, as Berridge goes for his pit stop and Adam State has to check up slightly, so returns the favour a bit. But I think if from season to season you just want to keep growing your overall point score or your overall position in the championship, and if that puts you up a class, then it means that you've progressed.
yeah, it means that you're doing something right, doesn't it? And really improving things. As I do think that Senturk is dropping down the order, and there's some suspicious smoke at the hairpin there. So Senturk drops down, and there's some suspicious smoke. Can we hazard a guess to what's happened there, Peter?
And I see a very brightly coloured Year 1 Audi into this pack now. So yes, I think Senturk has maybe had a bit of a spill at Spitzker. Now, did he get a bit of help though as they hit the brakes? Yes. Now, who was that? It was one of the Lamborghinis, a Simlab Lamborghini.
David Baker? No, he wasn't. No, Ashley Finch. Ashley Finch. It was Ashley Finch who got into the back of him there. Yeah, sorry, David.
David Baker is 6th in the championship, of course.
Yes, of course he is, yes. Here we are on board with Finch. So he realizes, I think he realizes here, I'm going into the back, and he just goes left, but he left it a little bit too late before heading left, didn't he?
In a way, you have to commend that, at least trying to avoid it. Some other drivers would just hold it straight and hope that they hang on to the position, and don't worry about what happens to the other driver. Not many, but there are drivers out there that have that switch in their brain where it's the sportsmanship goes out the window. But that was not intentional. That was just an error of judgment, which all drivers make from time to time.
There are 2 drivers sat there as. There was a very, I can tell you, there was a very stationary car out on track. There was yellow flags, but it's got. Yes, it means it was more than stationary. It was, but the yellow flags have gone, so that's okay. There are 2 drivers now, just 1 incident point away from having a drive-through penalty. So we'll keep up to date with all of that. But pit stops. I am surprised that the majority of the field is waiting until the end and nobody's trying. People may be stuck in battles, not trying alternate strategies, because if you do exactly the same as the car in front of you, 9 times out of 10 you'll come out the pits behind them again.
Yeah, I mean, by my reckoning, there's all of the leading 19 drivers are yet to pit after nearly 25 minutes of running. So everyone it's almost like a game of poker here. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to play their hand first? No takers again from the leading group. So at the moment, at the front, the gap is incredibly steady. You could say very steady between Ross McFarlane and Jack Sedgwick. It's maybe gone up a tenth or 2 maximum, but Ross McFarlane managing that gap beautifully. The only thing that could be the case, Paul, is that Sedgwick is holding the gap at a certain point and fuel saving, running to a fuel number. He's got no pressure behind from Ivdoka. He's pulled away from Ivdoka quite comfortably to the tune of 2 seconds. So Jack Sedgwick in that NX Ferrari, we don't normally use the words Ferrari and frugal in the same sentence, but maybe tonight we will.
Drive-through penalty for Selim Senturk. He's the first driver to fall foul of the instant point limit here today. And if you are new to watching iRacing, wondering what we're talking about, if you go off track, you accumulate 1 instant point. If you lose control of your car, you get 2 instant points. And if you make mild to heavy contact, it's 4 instant points. So you can have 0 instant point contact where it's just a little nudge, a little love tap. As Simon Field, I can tell you as well, has just received a black flag for a drive-through penalty as well. So 2 drive-through penalties, 1 lap after the other, so those are coming.
And we still have 14 minutes of this 40-minute race left, so that we could well see others falling afoul to that incident point limit. I mean, it just shows you that the track limits here at Hockenheimring are very strictly enforced, particularly as you hit it on the nail on the head there, Paul. Turn 1 is... Whoa, there's one! Goodness
that's
me,
that's Josh
Thompson. That's an off-track, but that was very nearly raced over. He did very well to hang on to that, did the Manxman.
How on
Harry
earth?
Vatanen on the Manx Rally, that. Dear God.
I think the quote from the co-driver was "Good God." I think.
Good God, yeah.
But my goodness, how on earth? And look who he's in front of, by the way, in all of this is Josh Thompson. Look, McEwen right behind him. So the two of them, they started together on the grid. McEwen dropped back a little bit because of having to avoid that incident on lap 1. But now they're together. Thompson nearly pushing Jack Belton around the corner. Belton yet to pit. So these two, both McEwen and Thompson, decided to pit early. But that does put you in the pack again, doesn't it? It puts you in that pack that you're having to work your way past.
Yes, well, Jack Belton holding the outside line there, and here comes McEwen with Thompson on the inside lane there as well. And Paul, what is the dynamic here between McEwen and Thompson?
Well, McEwen's got a championship to win, but they are in different teams in this series. But as you can see, similarly painted cars with the red line paint jobs. So it's intriguing to see how this one pits. By the way, the race leader, Ross McFarlane, is on to pit road. So he's decided now is the time to pit. Philip Koenig has stayed out, so has Christian Rose, so has Mark Hutchinson. Drivers leaving pit road right now, so...
Sedgwick's jumped him. Has he?
No. McFarlane did get out the pits first, so he has stayed in front, but not by much, it must be said. Although actually, I mean, Sedgwick was quicker in the actual box, but it was the same time down the lane, so Sedgwick losing what he gained down the actual pit road.
Interesting there, that's very interesting. It's Sedgwick needs to get his Ferrari cruise control fixed, obviously, with the pit limiter, but well. Unfortunately, Reece Carroll missed his pit box, and in a feature race like this, where the pit stop times are so important, that is vital seconds drop there for poor Reece Carroll in the Free M Lamborghini. So, your net leader is Ross McFarlane in 4th right now, because we wait for Koenig, Rose and Hutchison to take their pit service. The gap has it reduced?
It's about 3.5 seconds between Ross and Jack Sedgwick, because they've got Pete Harrod between them, who owes us a pit stop. As we continue to watch, that is Reece Carroll out there on track. He's in the 4, as we said, misses pit stall. So he's down currently 10th place in the standings, but we've still got those pit stops to happen. Speaking of pit stops, Koenig, Rose, Hutchinson, they're on to pit road right now, along with Pete Harrod as well. So the final pit stops are coming in. 10 minutes remaining. It's that final quarter of the race now where, really, Peter, you need to be pushing now. You need to be getting that final result.
Absolutely. I mean, Ross McFarlane, to lead the race from pole and still come out, gain a 1.5 seconds on Sedgwick. Maybe Sedgwick had to use more fuel than we thought to get into that position, because he was charging early on, so maybe that was where the extra fuel was used, possibly. But wow, Ross McFarlane, he, up until last week, round 10 of the championship, and remember, we usually have multiple races per round, Ross McFarlane had not won a race, and his rival had won 8 races, and all of a sudden his second win in a row. Talk about turning up at the right time with McEwen down the order. This championship really has turned on its head. Here's McEwen going for a big look down into Spitz car. Just gets it done in time, just to no more. Wow.
Yeah, that was on the inside of both Adrianson's and Mark Hutchinson. So your Pro-Am Championship leader was the car in the middle, and it's a case of, well, where do you go? It's very difficult in that situation when you're the middle car, as Josh Thompson makes his way past now as well. So McEwen is up, get ready for this, 27 places he has gained in this race. Josh Thompson has gained 24. Kevin Kittleman and Martin de Jong as well both gained 19 places in this race. So incredible drives from those 4 individuals. But Luke McEwen, we know how fast he is. We know how quick he is. This is what we want to see from Luke, isn't it? And we've touched on this throughout the season. We want to see the decisive but clean moves that he's having today in this race, compared to some of the incidents that he's got involved with previously.
this is the full package we're seeing here. We're seeing Luke McEwen's pace, which was never in doubt. We cannot stress how difficult that is to gain 27 places just in overtaking, but look at the car, there's not a mark on it. He's had to avoid others' incidents, he's had to make some really big risk moves but pull them off safely, and he's done that. He's answered a lot of critics, you know, and of which we've been both in that seat as well, but Luke McEwen has done everything that he's got to do. The only thing is he's got to do it all again in race 2. Remember, he's starting all the way at the back, much further back than he did start this race as well. So the work isn't all done yet for Luke McEwen, but he's started off in the best possible way.
And it's minimising that points lost, isn't it? As Adrianson has a look at Mark Hutchinson there. Hutchinson, who nearly ended up losing the position because he took that very wide line through the hairpin, but manages to hold on to his 14th position right now. 7 minutes remaining. We'll just give you a quick look at where people are. So McFarlane, Cedric and Evdoka are your top 3 in this race, and your top pro drivers in this race. Your top Pro-Am is now Christian Rose in this race in 9th place. Tom Brown in Pro-Am is 11th place overall, 2nd in Pro-Am, and Mark Hutchinson that we saw 14th place overall, he's your 3rd place Pro-Am. Your top Am is actually Jack Osborne, 20th place for him right now, and he's got a good few places over 2nd place in Am, which is Lars van Rijn, who's 26th, and Kevin Kittleman, 27th, is your 3rd placed Am driver out there. But we're looking at Marvin Les-Mollman, the 666, trying to hunt down Reece Carroll. I don't think he needs to worry about Philip Koenig behind, because those two are teammates.
Yeah, if you're Reece Carroll, you're looking in the mirror thinking, if I didn't miss my pit stall, these guys wouldn't be an issue. But 6 minutes to go, I'm sure Reece Carroll will be able to hold them off. And of course, being a free M driver, he'll have his free M sim racing gloves on, which will be keeping him cool under pressure and giving him optimum grip on the steering wheel, no matter how sweaty your palms might try to get. Actually, Paul, your performances in the World Touring Car Series did take a bit of an upturn when you switched to the free M sim racing glove, if I'm not mistaken.
I've been wearing them all through the season of the World Touring Car Series.
Well, you were supposed to go along with me on that one. Anyway.
I can tell you there are 2 drivers who are on the bubble of getting a drive-through penalty, and then a number of 3 others who are on 17 incident points. So there are drivers who are skirting with getting a drive-through penalty. Reece Carroll, by the way, has just pulled out a little bit of a gap in that little race there for 5th place, and that is now what's that, 0.6 of a second faster on that last lap alone. We have had a yellow flag out there for Brendan Stacey, but he's back up and running now in this race. There's a lot of smoke out there on track, I must say, and this might be what we get to see. And into the back of Brendan. Oh dear, is that Craig Jones? I believe it was.
Oh dear. Yeah, more smoke than a Dr. Dre video there. Oh dear. Yeah, that was pretty clumsy.
I was going to say Snoop Dogg video, to be honest.
One and the same.
Oh, now, there are drivers dropping down our order. Ashley Finch has dropped down our order here, so something's happened to him. Now, let's have a look. There is Finch in front of us, and the car behind gets their braking completely wrong, and Luke McEwen and Josh Thompson say, oh, thanks for the freebies there, guys. That was the 56.
And
Tom Brown.
Ironically, that now, if I'm not mistaken, that number 56 car is a SimLab car.
No, it was one of the Indy Autosport cars.
Ah, I thought it was a SimLab car that was involved in that incident.
No, the SimLab car was Ashley Finch.
Ah, yes, who of course is, in effect, a teammate of Ross McFarlane.
In a loose sense, yes.
Yes.
He's part of the Pure Sims stable.
The awning. They run out the same awning.
Certainly do. If they did have awnings here, I'm sure they'd do lovely cakes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, the Pure Sims catering at the awning would be good with With it wouldn't be dishwater coffee. It would be proper bean to cup.
Do you know what? I don't drink coffee, so I wouldn't take advantage. You could have mine.
Oh, that's very kind. That's very kind.
There you go. Don't say I'm not a kind, benevolent person. Thompson and McEwen on our timing screen, on our timing sheet there on the left-hand side of the tower. They were swapping positions, so they must be still keen. I think Thompson wants that 10th place, you know.
Well, this will see how tight the friendship is, and whether we'll see that Luke McEwen tearing that Team Redline wrap off of Josh Thompson's car, saying you're not wearing those colours again, pal, no chance. No, we'll see how it goes. I mean, Josh Thompson, I mean, that BMW does have good straight line speed, so there is an opportunity to try and make a move into the Spitz car, because it's a long old drag down there, and you're basically almost to the top of top gear when you hit the brakes and go all the way down to first gear. So interesting stuff. It's not what Luke McEwen wants, that's for sure. He needs all the points he can get, but he's definitely job done in this race. I mean, to come from really deep in the pack, gain as many positions as he has, and limit the damage, it's mighty impressive.
And he's got it all to do again.
Yeah.
And the problem for him is that he doesn't have his dancer partner in Josh Thompson to go through the field with him. So he's got to do it alone and work his way through the field. But this has been a great job by Luke McEwen of damage limitation. We've got about a lap and a half remaining in this race here. And things are pretty settled at the front. Ross McFarlane's got a lovely lead now of 4.1 seconds over Jack Sedgwick, with Michael Evdoka third place after starting on the front row of the grid. Did Michael is now down in third place after losing that early on in the race, and Mark Hutchinson and Jensen Adriansons are still duking it out there for 12th place, and Adrianson's getting ahead of Mark, who's flashing the headlights. He's not happy.
No, he is not. Jensen Edrinson's definitely putting up a strong defence there, which all of a sudden breaks loose, and that yields the place to Mark Hutchison, our Pro-Am Championship leader, as the 888 Webster having a look up the inside here, but can't get the move done there.
Him and Andy Archer have been inseparable all the way through this race, have they? And Leon Penn is joining the fight. He's someone who started at the back of the field as well in this race. So Leon working his way through. I can tell you, another drive-through penalty right at the end of the race here. Ben Gregory has got a drive-through penalty, so he is going to fall back, although he did have issues at the start of the race. He's down in 35th at the moment as we're coming through. So start of the final lap for these drivers. Ross McFarlane, as we say, comfortable at the front. Adam Volkovich has all of a sudden got Reese Carroll behind him for 4th place. So those two are pretty close out there. Paul Webster and Leon Penn. Leon Penn just looking out, just wanted to get by, but not making any moves yet. And Ken McEwen and Thompson have switched places on our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen there, but still sorting themselves out. But it's reigning champion Ross McFarlane. He's had a heck of a race out there today, and he's actually coming through Sats Curve right now, so he's just got a couple more corners to go here in this race, and Ross will be able to call himself a race winner once again. It's 2 weeks in a row now he's won a race, and this one is important for him as he fights for the championship, crosses the line, takes victory here in the opening race of the evening here in the World GT Championship. A 5.2 second lead he had in the end, as Adriansons and Hutchinson, they're still duking it out here as they're coming through the final couple of corners. If you're going to make a move, it's you've got to have a little bit of cooperation with the other car as well. None forthcoming, so Hutchinson's going to stay ahead. Luke McEwen, what's happened to him on our timing tower? He's dropped down the order to 11th place in the end. So something's happened to McEwen out there. It's dropping down to 11th.
Oh, there's a story there, because Christian Rose went past McEwen. Thompson went past him as well. I do wonder, has there been a clash between Josh Thompson and Luke McEwen on the final lap? Let's find out. But those couple of places, that just dropped another agonising couple of points. So right on board then with McEwen. He's coming into the final corner, and is it a mistake of?
Is he back in? Yeah, has he run out of fuel?
I don't believe it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to run out of fuel, do it after the line, preferably. But yeah, just before, and that means that he just loses 2 places. Fortunate for him, he lost fuel when he did, because that's only 2 places lost rather than any more than that. But we'll be able to give you your unofficial race results after we have a look at the spinning wheel here, Peter. We've only ever seen one time that we had a no reverse grid drawn. Will we get one of those, or will we get a nice big number?
Well, Ross McFarlane wants it to be a small number. Luke McEwen wants it to be a big number. And what's it going to be? Is it going to be 27? Is it going to be 22? The championship hangs in the balance, and so does this reverse grid. What is it going to be? 27.
Yep, that's confirmed.
Well.
So Ross will be disappointed it wasn't one stop earlier to have a no reverse grid, but 27 is a relatively big reverse grid, and we'll be able to give you who is on pole position once we go through our unofficial race results. So Ross McFarlane then is the winner for Pure Sims Esports, winning by 5.2 seconds over Jack Sedgwick, and that was cooking by 3M car. Michael Evdoka for Pure Sims Esports in 3rd place. Really good day for the Pure Sims Esports team there. Madam Volkovic 4th ahead of Reese Carroll. Marvin Lesmolman 6th ahead of Philip Koenig. Alex Neller and Josh Thompson 8th and 9th. Christian Rosie top Pro-Am in 10th place for Pure Sims SimLab. Then Luke McEwen, as you see, run out of petrol across the line. He finishes 11th place, but will start the second race from the back of the grid. Mark Hutchinson for Evo SR is your 2nd place Pro-Am in 12th place. Jensen Adriansons for Indy Autosport White, the 3rd place Pro-Am. Good result for him after last week's shenanigans. Ashley Finch 14th ahead of Tom Brown. Pete Harrod, Selim Senturk, Eric Haag, Andy Archer and Leon Penn is 20th place. 21st for Paul Webster and Jack Osborne. Then your top AM driver for Century Sim Racing. He finishes 22nd ahead of Tim Perry, Adam State. Lars Van Rijn for Boosted Sim Sport, 25th and 2nd in AM for him, with Lee Berridge's teammate behind him. Kevin Kittleman, 27th. He's your 3rd place AM for Indy Autosport Red. He finds himself on pole position for race number 2 of the evening. Matt Young and Adam Watson then with Jack Belton in 30th place. 31st for Craig Jones ahead of Nick Salaputis 32nd. Matt Woodhouse 33rd with Jesse Payne Wilkins 34th. Adam Hedgecock 35th ahead of Simon Field and John Roberts. Ben Gregory getting us a drive-through penalty at the end, drops him down to 38th. Drivers 1 lap down or more: Chris Van Den Ness and James Whitehouse. And Toby Ward, Graham Sesforth and Brandon Stacey, those drivers 1 lap down. The rest did not finish. Brian Krohn, Michael Blake, Simon Neller, Adam Magic Sakovic, David Nichols, Andy Gilmore and Jonathan Walker and Mike Horder are the 51 drivers who finished this race. As we say, though, reverse grid pole for Kevin Kittleman out there today. He'll be delighted with that. The Indy Autosport Red team will be loving seeing their driver at the front of the field.
Yes, they will indeed. Of course, a relatively late addition to the championship, but brilliant to see them get an opportunity to show what they're capable of. But, you know, we've got to talk about the championship implications. We came into this round with Luke McEwen, the 34-point lead. He did everything he could to limit the damage, but also Ross McFarlane did everything he could to inflict the most damage as well. You know, that's the thing. Both drivers, both McFarlane and McEwen, are doing what they need to do in their part. This next race coming up is going to be fascinating. We're going to have Ross McFarlane starting 27th, and we see Luke McEwen starting, you know, just inside the top 50. So they're not, they're about 20 places apart on the grid. I wonder, with McEwen's pace that we've seen throughout the season, will that gap close down by the checkered flag? The only thing I would throw into that, Ross McFarlane's best lap was 0.3 quicker than McEwen's best lap on that race just there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Luke, he didn't get that many clean laps, did he, out there?
No, that's true.
He was having to work his way through the field, whereas Ross had it nice and relatively easy up at the front of the field. But there was a number of drivers got drive-through penalties in that race, Peter. It's a question of how hard do you push early on? Do you save yourself some incident points to be able to push towards the end of the race, or do you push hard and then have to drive within yourself in the second half of the race, like some of them did here today?
It's hard to say. It just depends. You got to make that reaction on depending on who's around you, and it's so easy to kind of get drawn into the battles. I mean, I think if you're Luke McEwen, yeah, you've got no option but to push and to get through. Ross McFarlane, as he always does in these reverse grid races, he's won many championships, not only in here in the World GT, but also in other touring car championships which use this same format with reverse grids, and this is where he wins his championships. He doesn't qualify in pole all the time like some of his rivals, he doesn't win loads of races, but it's the points that he picks up in these reverse grid races which is where he makes up the ground. And will he do the same this time? Well, the Pure Sims team, they'll certainly be hoping so.
Just looking at the news from the paddock, Adam Watson lost all his force feedback and didn't have gear shift availability to him, so that's why he's finished further down in the order. So a nightmare for him. And Kevin Kittleman, you would think he'd be the happiest person on the grid, getting the reverse grid draw, saying, "Can we roll again? I don't want to start from first."
I think there'll be plenty of people that, well, Jack Bell, I see, yes, Jack Belton is, he's putting his hat in the ring saying, yeah, I'll have your pole position as well. Take what you get, Kevin Kitterman. Oh, Porsche Sports says Brumos t-shirt. Yes, you're absolutely right. It is a Brumos t-shirt. I don't know if it'll number 59. Hold on. I don't want to show too much, but yeah, you go there.
Yeah, it's not that type of show. It's not after 10 o'clock. No. But just looking at the results, I'm looking at my timing sheet here for before we go into race number 2. Big results, I would have to say. Christian Rose, who's trying to keep his hopes alive of a Pro-Am championship, finishing in 10th place. The problem for him is that Mark Hutchinson, who's leading the Pro-Am championship, finished in 12th. So, not much of a gain, but it's still a gain.
Yeah, it's. I think Mark Hutchison right now will be delighted with how that race went, because his nearest rival, Paul Webster, where did he finish? He finished back in 20th overall, Hutchison in 12th. So, yeah, that is a real strong performance from Hutchison. He's been doing that all season, though, in that Evo SR Ferrari, and he's just got to keep doing what he's been doing. That the Evo SR team, they really have focused on the GT racing. They've raced in lots of GT series before, and they've tended to focus on the Ferrari, both in GTE form and GT3, and that's definitely showing. They're so familiar with their package, and that really helps with the preparation and setup.
Yeah, I'm continuing looking at my timing sheet. Jack Osborne, it's worth mentioning him, 22nd, your top AM, and as I said in the results, very good job, because Lars van Rijn was the second best AM in 26th, so really good points scored for Jack out there. Okay, he lost 5 places from where he started, but still a really, really good solid result for Jack.
Was, yeah, absolutely, and very important to get those results in, get those points on the board. I mean, you got to spare a thought for poor old Adam Hedgehog, who's in the fight, mathematically certainly so, for the AM Championship, but kind of got. It was more early season luck for Lord Hedge there, getting caught up in somebody else's incident. I don't know if we had a bingo card for Hedgecock's in the wall. You would have got a house quite quickly. Poor old Hedge, he didn't have the luck, but he's had a great run of things the last few meetings. So maybe hopefully he'll have a bit of a cleaner run of things in race 2.
Yeah, coming into this round of the championship, he was 100 points off of James Whitehouse. James did not have a very good race out there today, and finished further down the order in 40th place. So that's... Adam would have wanted a better result than what he got out there, but still, he did actually finish ahead in 35th. Good points scored, though, for Lars van Rijn in 26th compared to James Whitehouse. So this is where we start looking at those championships and really focus on who are the main protagonists. You definitely say in the Pro it's between McEwen and McFarlane. Thompson's just not had that consistency throughout the season that he would have needed. Pro-Am, it's Hutchinson, Webster, Christian Rose and Tim Perry were still in with a long shot, but still with a shout. And then in the AM standings, I mean, incredible close between Whitehouse, Lars van Rijn, Adam Hedgecock, Michael Blake as well. Could even throw Martin de Jong in there. And AM, that's the one where a reverse grid draw can really bag you some big points, can't it? Can really work wonders for you.
It can certainly give you the opportunity to do that. And actually, I think we will have had a change for the lead in that. Yes, we will have. James Whitehouse has lost his championship lead in the AM class. Drop scores aside.
I'm going to say, yeah.
But Lars van Rijn finished 25th, James Whitehouse in 40th. So even with the drop scores, that's quite a big change between the two. I wouldn't expect their drop scores to be wildly different. So, yeah, it's all game on in that AM championship. It's going to go down to the wire.
Thankfully, we don't have to worry about the drop scores next week. We can just focus on who finishes where out there, and it really helps us out here in the commentary box. But the drivers are getting themselves set into the session. They do get a 10-minute warm-up session before, just to get used to the session settings. In fact, there you go, 5.5 minutes remaining of practice here. And Peter, one thing I love about this venue, apart from the Porsche Experience Centre there, is that on the outside of turn number 2, they moved the Jim Clark Memorial down to that exit outside of turn 2, but not only that, they've got it here in the sim as well.
It's a wonderful touch, and yeah, it's something that's particularly close to my heart. Jim Clark was obviously passed away in the 7th of April 1968, and long before I was born. But my grandfather was a huge admirer of Jim Clark, and kind of taught me on the ways of who he was and what kind of athlete he was and how important he was. And he left such a legacy for British motor racing. You know, in Scotland we hang on to him close for good reason, but he left a great legacy for British motor racing as well, and for the Lotus brand. And yeah, whenever we go to Hockenheim, you can't not think about Jim Clark. And yeah, it's I think it's a lovely touch that iRacing have included that in their scan. It just shows you that they don't leave any stone unturned, and the detail just continues to go from strength to strength.
Certainly does. And yeah, do you know what, I specifically, as soon as the first time I got into a session here, and it was actually in a Porsche preview event where we were showing off the GT3, the 911 GT3R. I had special. We all got, those of us working on that broadcast that day, got special access to the iRacing beta build, and the first thing I did when I got into the session was went looking for that memorial, and I saw it there, and I'm like, good. I'm glad. I'm happy that they've got that there. But yeah, it's me personally. I think this track has created its own history now on this particular layout. I still think there was something special about them going off into the forest and on those long drags and really pushing cars to their limit.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a time in history for everything, and sometimes things move on, and you know, I think it's good that we still have the circuit and it's still preserved in some way. And I have to say, I really do like the circuit in its current guise. Provides really good motor racing. This is why I always say why we must preserve as tightly as possible. Places like the Nürburgring Nordschleife would be the best example. The fact we're still allowed that, we need to look after that privilege by looking after the safety as best as we can. Places like Mount Panorama, Bathurst, not only the track safety but also the political side to allow these things to carry on. There's people around the world that would love to see motor racing banned forever and would love to have no noise and stuff like that. But of course, we love the noise, we love the competition, and that's why as a sport we've got to box clever, and we've got to make sure that we preserve our sport for generations going forward. And so occasionally that requires a little bit of change that puts things that we wouldn't want to see in the history books, but that's sometimes it's for the greater good occasionally.
Well, it was, as we give you a brief potted history of Hockenheimring here, it was actually a combination of safety reasons that they made the changes, but also noise complaints.
Yeah.
That ended up seeing the track shortened, and it's good that we've still got a venue here, because I know from experience, you look at tracks like Croft have had to limit the amount of noise days, as they're called, at their venue because of complaints from local residents. People have moved into the area. The classic story of Croft was that somebody moved into the area, complained about the noise, and it was his wife who worked as a receptionist at the circuit. So there you go. But that meant that the circuit ended up losing Barry's a lot of money.
Barry's and Karens, I think they call them nowadays. But that's not cool. We're incredibly lucky that we've got a very understanding farmer. Let's just say that.
well, that's it. You've not got many neighbours up there, have you?
There's enough to cause a problem if they wanted to. But luckily, they're good. They're really good.
So we'll see how things go out here. Now, I'm just having a look. I don't know whether we may end up having to move to a different session, because apparently drivers have found that the fuel has not been limited. Now, session is postponed. They're going to put up a new session, so this gives us more time to talk here, Peter. I know it's our favourite time when we have it's almost like a rain delay, isn't it? And plus a thing like that. One thing that we will do here, as we are going to go to a new session, is, Peter, you mentioned it earlier on. 3M, one of the main sponsor of this championship, and hopefully our producer will come to our cameras here shortly. 3M, of course, are a sponsor of the World GT Championship, and of course the World Touring Car Series, which is on Thursday evenings here on RaceSpotTV. Final round of the championship with Peter Mackay, who's going to be commentating on that. And Peter, one of the items that 3M do provide, I mean, you're going to talk about it. What is it that they provide?
It's when you were leading into that, Paul, I thought, no, it can't be. Oh, we're gonna have the Paul Smith hand model. Yes, here we go. It must be a rain delay. Model. There it is. Brilliant. This is the 3M Sim Racing Glove, endorsed by none other than Team Mad touring car superstar Paul Smith.
And the superstar.
And handmade in Italy, and gives you supreme grip in the sim rig, no matter how sweaty your hands might get. And of course, if you're like Paul, you've got a band of Twitch followers, you can even use your mobile device and operate your mobile device with the gloves on, because they've got special, as you can see, Paul's well used. He's obviously texting lots of people while he's driving. So he's got his the
hard wearing as well. It must be said. They look
like it, yeah, because you've got quite one of these fancy wheels with the.
You can see that they are being used, so it's not like somebody's just handed me some things to promo. These do actually get used, to be fair.
They do. Well, so all your fans on your stream get to watch with those 3M gloves as well. And like I say, 3M provide the. If you're a keen go-karter, or if you're a track day enthusiast or racer, they make you can either buy off the peg with some really cool designs. fireproof equipment, gloves, etc.
You speaking of fireproof gloves?
Oh, look at them! Yes, and you can have them made in your own colour scheme as well if you want them custom made.
With the it's chroma keying, it's green.
Yes, most of the British touring car grid are running 3M overalls. The reigning double Porsche Super Cup champion Larry Ten Voorde and rallying superstar Alberto Battistoli in the European Rally Championship. And if an Italian who owns a Lancia 037 trusts 3M, then so should you.
If you can handle a Lancia 037,
you're going to need good grip, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes. My goodness, those things are absolute beasts. If you ever get the opportunity, I mean, I've only ever seen them done on demonstration runs now, unfortunately. I've seen Metro 6R4s rallied, but of course they're the detuned ones, so not the full fat cars that we would normally see as the 6R4s. But those Group B cars, yeah, you need to have a good handling and a good grip to be able to handle those cars. So yeah, a lot of drivers do trust 3M equipment, and it shows, doesn't it? They're winners.
Yeah, and of course, driver fighting for the AM Championship in this very series. Adam Hedgecock, he is tried and tested and trusts 3M sim racing gloves for that as well. But one of the things that does amaze me, Paul, is the level of detail that iRacing do with the cars and the tracks, which we've talked about. But the cars, you can go into the garage and make all the fine tweaks and adjustments that you would on the real world car. Problem is, though, if you're like me and you're not an engineer, it's easy to get lost, because anything you change has a direct effect on the car. Yeah. So go to something like Coach Dave Academy, they've got ready-made setups and driver coaching as well to help you go quicker in the sim. I mean, you can, once you've got your 3M gloves, you're ready to go, you've got your equipment, you've got all the gear, but you still need to have the idea, and that's where you need to go to Coach Dave Academy.
So that's where I'm going wrong.
You need to sign in for. I think we both need to sign up for Coach Dave Academy. So we're just getting everything sorted here for race number 2. The new, I can tell you that the new server is up, so we can get drivers ready to go in just a few moments' time, and hopefully Alex has done his job correctly and set the right fuel limit as well, because the way that things are done here, if you are joining us for this race, you're wondering what's going on. Well, we're filling time between sessions at the moment, but we have got a second race coming up here. It's a 40-minute race, same as the first race, with a mandatory fuel stop. So that's why they go and limit the fuel on these cars in the server, so that they force the drivers to come down onto pit road. But not only that, it's a reverse grid for race number 2. So 27th was drawn, and that means that Kevin Kittleman is going to be starting on pole position here for the second race. And if you are new and wondering, what all this iRacing talk is about, I am wearing one of their shirts, by the way, that they gave me back when they were at the NEC and the Autosport show in 2017. But I do need a new one. This is getting a little bit curled and whatnot. It's been used quite a lot. But I can tell you that right now, if you've never been a member of iRacing, now's the time to do it, because it's currently 40% off of all new memberships. So check out iRacing.com for details on that as well. And who knows, you might end up on the same track as myself or even Peter. God help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Paul, you and I have both been fans of racing since we were toddlers, basically, and it's always kind of captured our imagination. And as soon as I was old enough, I was desperate to get a PlayStation. I had Toka touring cars on the PlayStation and Colin McRae Rally, and I was always kind of searching for, that to get as close to racing as I possibly could. But when would it be now? It'd be about 2.5 years ago is when I first got iRacing. I got myself a gaming laptop, and I already had a rig which I had on my Xbox, and then I got a gaming laptop and got iRacing, and it was just like a light bulb coming on. The level of realism is just incredible. And the thing that amazes me as well, Paul, is the sheer size of the community. What's it up to now? Is it 185,000 people on iRacing? So you've always got someone to race against in pretty much any kind of car you like at any time. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. You do have that. There's always races to take part in. I always like to steal Evan Pasoko's line of "Every day's a race day on iRacing," and it's absolutely right. And you've always got new races every quarter of an hour, so definitely do join us and do join in with all the fun. And if you do end up getting onto iRacing and you fancy some GT racing, well, the World GT Championship, you can check out details about them on the worldsimracing.co.uk is the website, and you can check out details, because of course we are coming towards the end of this season. We've got one more round to go next week, which is at the Red Bull Ring, which is 3 20-minute races. This championship is very much for drivers of all abilities, hence why we've got the 3 different classes of driver and championship out there. And Peter, I think that's what really helps make this championship, isn't it? That you've got those different drivers of different abilities. It's almost like being at Le Mans and having the gentleman drivers and as well as the full-time pros who are factory drivers. It really does make this championship so unique.
It does, and I think that's what GT racing and sports car racing is all about in both the virtual and the outdoor world of racing. And I always say it's if you didn't have those 3 classes, if you just had the elite pros, it would be a relatively quiet existence, you know. So we've got, look how many storylines we've had to talk about tonight. I mean, with 2 rounds to go, including this one, 3 championships on the line, and and everyone could come and enjoy themselves and take part. And of course, one of the great things about the iRacing platform is that you can if you're like me, I would be very much in the AM class.
Likewise,
I could, you've got a much higher I rating than I do, but I could go and look at Luke McEwen's onboard, and I could see where he's braking, I could see the line he's taking, I could see where he's accelerating, gear changes, etc. So, you know, you're because you're part of the same session, you can do that. It's well within the rules. It's not it's not taboo at all. You can do that, and you know, even just following some of the top drivers for 3-4 corners, you pick up things. So that is what's also really cool as well, is that kind of trickle down of talent and that trickle down of learning from the top drivers to those who are progressing up.
I've just realised one of the Century Sim Racing cars has got the rookie cross on the back of their car, and I think it's Andy Gilmore. Yes, it is. It's Andy Gilmore who's got the rookie cross on the back of his car. So I think that set his stall. Yeah, wear it with pride, absolutely. But yeah, but that's it in real world motorsport. If you're in your first 6 races, isn't it? In circuit racing, you wear that yellow square with the black cross on the back of your car to warn other drivers that you are a novice.
You get in bikes, you get a bright orange bib to wear as well. I've never raced on motorbikes, but I've done track days where it's the same thing. The beginners on the track days have an orange bib, and I'll never ever forget the pride, and I must have had the cheesiest grin on my face when British champion Dennis Hobbs, who works up at Knockhill, is one of the instructors. He came over and after one session of the track day, and I thought it had gone quite well, and he comes up to me and I thought, oh no, what have I done wrong? And he says, you take that off, you don't need it anymore. Honestly, I felt like Kevin Schwantz and Valentino Rossi had a child. Honestly, it was just, I thought, I am king of the world. Honestly, it was the best feeling ever.
There you go.
Wear your novice stripe with pride.
Yeah, there is that novice cross right there on the back of Andy Gilmore's car. So just warning any drivers coming up behind him. The thing is, they don't have one on the front of the car, so you can't look in the rear view mirror and see that the person behind you is a rookie. It's just when you're behind them. Sometimes it's when they're behind you that you need to worry.
It's when they go past you and go, Goodness me, he's picked this up quick. But yeah, there have been some. I remember again, forgive me for using a bike racing analogy, but at Isle of Man TT, the novice bib is obviously a very important part of the mix there with safety. But Josh Brooks, who is a very, very, I mean, at the time, British short circuit champion in the British Superbike Championship, and went over to do his rookie year at the Isle of Man TT, but he didn't wear an orange bib. He actually had a set of leathers custom made. I hope he went to 3M for them, if they may. I don't know if they make leathers, I don't think so. But anyway, he went to whoever his leather manufacturer was and got an orange bib, effectively a part of his leather design, which I thought was very, very clever.
I would imagine that wearing an orange bib like that would actually, you'd feel that sort of moving about on you, and then once you're able to take it off, you're just in your leathers, that's when you feel more comfortable.
Yes, it does flap around, that's for sure. Yeah, it can actually be quite distracting. If it's a little bit on the large side for you, then yes, I wouldn't have such a problem. Mine would fit quite snug, actually, I would think.
Well, we're a few seconds away from the second race of the evening, thankfully. We don't need to go into into shirt sizes anymore, so that's good. So but yes, you could tell that we've had a bit of a delay to film there, but we're getting ready for the second race of the evening here, so we will be able to give you your starting grid in just a few seconds time, but what we can tell you is it should be starting on pole position of this race. It should be Kevin Kittelman, who finds himself on pole position, and it is, with Lee Berridge starting alongside him on the front row of the grid. Lars van Rijn is then the next car. Alongside him is Adam State on row number 2. Row 3 is Tim Perry and Jack Osborne. Look at all those Pro-Ams and AMs that are starting up at the front of the field. Row number 4 of the grid is Paul Webster and Leon Penn, with Andy Archer and Eric Haag on row number 5. Row 6 for Selim Senturk, who'll be looking for a better result, and Pete Harrod. 7th row of the grid for Tom Brown and Ashley Finch, who had a little bit of a coming together towards the end of that first race. Jensen Adriansons and Mark Hutchinson are sharing the next row of the grid with Christian Rose and Josh Thompson on row number 9. Row 10 for Alex Neller and Philip Koenig, with Marvin Lesmolman and Reese Carroll on the next row of the grid. Adam Volkovich and Michael Evdoka then on row number 12. Row 13 for Jack Sedgwick and Ross McFarlane. Martin de Jong. Row number 14 alongside him is Adam Watson, with Jack Belton and Craig Jones sharing row 15. Row 16 then for Nicholas Salaputis and Matt Woodhouse. Jesse Payne-Wilkins and Adam Hedgecock then on the next row of the grid, with Simon Field and John Roberts then get there in the end. Ben Gregory, 19th row of the grid with Chris Van Der Ness, with James Whitehouse and Toby Ward. Row number 20, Graham Sesforth and Brendan Stacey then on row number 21. Row 22. Now, one thing I've noticed, where is Luke McEwen? Because he's not on that grid. In fact, we've got a much smaller grid. We've only got 45 here.
That could well be a timing glitch, but we shall see. That would be a great pity if something is paid to Luke McEwen's second race here, after such a good performance in race 1. Anyway, we roll off and the Silverado roars into action.
Certainly do. Drivers coming around to start the second race of the evening, and it is Kevin Kittelman who is on the front of the grid. He's going to set the pace. Will we have a nice clean start? The Silverado, you can tell when it's an Alex Neller session, because the Silverado is there as they come through the S's towards the end of the lap, heading to the penultimate corner. That Chevrolet pace truck will pull off to the right hand side. There it goes. And now Sudkev, through they go, looking for the green flag. Kevin Kittelman taking them very, very slow here. Now he's going to get the launch. The green flag will be in the air, and we're underway for another 40 minutes of racing here. Down towards turn number 1 then. All the drivers coming across the line through turn number 1. keeping it nice and clean. Where there's smoke further back. Bit of an incident further back in your field. As those drivers, there was a track blockage there. Yeah, safety car is out. So there was a track blockage there. Turn number 1. It was further down in your field was that incident, but the safety car has been called for, so unfortunately, well, fortunately for those at the front, they get to hold position, but unfortunately for people like Josh Thompson, that gives them less time to work their way through, but it does bunch everyone back up.
It does. Let's see what happens. It's one of the German sim racing cars. Oh, and it just has a little spin. Now, who was that he got side-to-side contact with? I think it was Evdoka, and McFarlane just avoided it and no more.
Well, hopefully get enough a look at that one. McFarlane is in 28th at the moment, so he's lost 2 places on the start here. So we'll see how we go. But this will throw people's fuel strategies up here as well, because it means that they're going to be putting less fuel in, but they will have calculated before this race started as to how much fuel they were going to put in. Now they'll be desperately recalculating to go, well, how much fuel can we get away with in this pit stop? As here we go, another look, and you can see how it all just concertinas and then goes across the track, and other cars getting involved, and it narrows down just the track there, doesn't it? It's quite narrow on the exit of turn 1, and that's why we ended up with that that block track there.
Was that Hutchison, our Pro-Am Championship leader in the Evo SR Ferrari, or was it Van den Ness? It was Van den Ness.
It does.
He was involved, yeah. He's right at the bottom of the order, so I guess that's him.
Now, pit lane will be closed the first time that they go past, but now that they're behind the pace truck, they'll be able to get going onto pit road if they need repairs on this lap. So yeah, the drivers will be working their way around now, but they have all bunched up. So just give us time to reset and look at things as they stand. So Kittelman does lead from Lee Berridge. Adam State did move up a place up ahead of Lars van Rijn up into 3rd place. So Adam State's got a good shout of a good result here. Tim Perry, now here we go, on board with Craig Jones. He takes the wide line. All of a sudden, bang, he's got a car in the middle of the way. Oh, it's just pinball time.
I tell you what, that was so close with our championship contender Ross McFarlane, who's although Luke McEwen has not started this race for reasons we don't know why yet, he can't afford any drops, can Ross McFarlane? He's got to get the most amount of points he can possibly get. So this is his view. His teammate Michael Avdoka right in front. He takes the hit for him, and that's very, very good perception to actually take the medicine there, brake, and move out the way and stay clear of the trouble.
Well, he was already committed to taking that wide line, wasn't he, and going off track there to basically premeditate that. As Kevin, you don't want to make friends with that Chevy Silverado there, but
can you park a Lamborghini under a Chevrolet Silverado? Apparently you can.
You can, yeah.
Now, one important thing we should mention, BC Gaming has brought up a very important point here as well. Are there quick repairs? Yes, there are. So the drivers who were involved, well, just the one, yes. So the drivers who were involved in that incident, they can come into pit lane, take a fast repair, why not take some fuel as well, and stay on the lead lap. That will not be enough to get them to the end of the race, but at least that's them back in, and they've actually maybe got even a tiny bit of bonus on fuel. So actually, if you've had that incident, that safety car is a godsend.
Where was it now? Luke McEwen, remember, he had to take a fast repair.
Into Lagos.
Yes, he had to take that fast repair because he got involved in an incident. Pitted under the safety car, got his fast repair done, got a bit of fuel on board, and he made up so many places and ended up winning the race.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so it is not all that. If you're in that incident and you manage to stay, the critical thing is stay on the lead lap. If you're not on the lead lap, then that's it really. But if you can stay on the lead lap, that's the main thing. But some huge hits there.
We've just had a yellow flag under safety car. Car 5. Who's car 5? Is that Josh Thompson? No, James Whitehouse. No, it's James Whitehouse. That is his actual number, is James Whitehouse. I think Josh Thompson had stolen his number in race number 1. But James Whitehouse has had an issue there under the safety car. And he's dropped down to the back of the field, but there was yellow flags out there. Now, I'm wondering if that's a little bit of damage or something, or checking up, and yeah, so that was Craig Jones. Oh, so it's Craig Jones who's got onto the grass, and then everybody's just trying to avoid it.
Craig Jones has not covered himself in glory tonight. I think it's fair to say. That's 2 really clumsy pieces of driving so far tonight.
It is, unfortunately. And unfortunately, we've caught them both on broadcast as well. This should be the last. Not much. Our producers Tyler Maxon, Hugo Levis, Arjuna Kankapati, not much gets by them. It might get by us in the commentary box, but it does not get by our producers. And I have learned that the hard way of the very little broadcast racing I've done. Yes, if you make a mistake, it will get shown on the broadcast. So a number of cars have come onto pit road this lap. So Adam Volkovich, David Nichols, Chris Van Der Ness, Craig Jones, Toby Ward, James Whitehouse, Ben Gregory, and Brendan Stacey all have been down pit road to get repairs. But we are going to be going green flag racing at the end of this lap. It's single file restart, so we've not got to worry about double files. It just spreads the field out a little bit more. But also, people are asking about the series. At the moment, the series, because we've got 1 week to go in the championship, they're not accepting any new competitors, but I do advocate looking at the website, which is www.worldsimracing.co.uk, to keep up to date with details and future entry dates for them. And they've also got a link to their Discord server on there as well. So do check out worldsimracing.co.uk for details about this championship, where you can also keep up to date with details of the championship standings as well when we head into the final week next week. And hopefully, touch wood, we shall have the points being live updated for that one. I think I've just dropped that on one of the admins there, so they can do that for us to keep us up to date. But we're getting set here now, Peter. It's a complete reset. Kevin Kittleman, he wasn't looking forward to starting at the front to start with. He's got to do it all again now.
Yeah, he does. And, let's see how he can handle that single file rolling start heading down towards turn 1. There is still more opportunity for chaos here. I mean, turn 1 at Hockenheim is well known for it.
Certainly is. Hopefully we get to stay green flag racing. I don't fancy seeing another safety car in this one, but never say never. Pace truck is onto pit road. Kevin Kittleman is in charge of the field, and look at that launch that he's got out that final corner. That's a good run for him this time. We go green flag racing once again here in the World GT Championship. Across the line they all come right now towards turn number 1. They go. Selim Centre just running that little bit wide through turn 1, but so far so good here. Keeping it nice and clean, and that single file restart really has helped keep that track clean and keep it nice and clean. There's a car spun around. It's one of the Pure Sim SimLab cars. It's Ashley Finch. Oh, I said we were keeping it clean, but Finch is around.
Oh, tough night for Ashley Finch, really, you have to say. It's an incident in race 1 and then another one here in race 2, so not a good night at the office for Ashley Finch. But at the front, Kevin Kitterman is checking out in that Lamborghini for Indy Autosport. Adam State is up to second in his Porsche, and then it's Lee Berridge in third and Lars Van Rijn. So Lars Van Rijn, remember, it came into this round in second in the AM Championship, had a great result in race 1, beating James Whitehouse by a long chalk, and is well ahead of his AM class rival now in race 2. So what a night it's been for Lars Van Rijn so far.
Here's the replay then. Finch just got rear-ended. That's Josh Thompson that got into the rear of him. To be fair, Finch did check up a little bit of centre into the gravel. Oh, going a bit of rallycross action there for him. but managing to keep it going. So that's
Wrong
a couple of
kind
cars.
of Audi to do that.
Yeah, but there's a couple of cars that we've seen do that now. Head out on the left-hand side there as you go into the arena, and then back out you go, and it's yeah, it can catch people out there. But we are green flag racing, and we're keeping green flag racing, which is good to see. And at the moment, it is still Kevin Kittelman. 0.8 of a second is his lead over Adam State in that Porsche. And then it's Lee Berridge in third place, Lars Van Rijn fourth, Tim Perry fifth, and your top pro is Leon Penn in sixth place right now. Changes of positions further down, I can tell you. Josh Thompson has gained 4 positions. Simon Field up 8 places. Michael Blake, get this, up 13 positions already.
Brilliant stuff from Michael Blake to get that done, as Jensen Adriansen's in the Indy Autosport Audi has a little look up the inside, but no, not quite, and he's got Josh Thompson on his case now as well. Thompson now running the 28. He normally runs the number 10, but he's had a 5 and a 28 tonight. And he's had a different paint scheme. I think he's doing it to make our life difficult, I think, the scamp.
I wouldn't put it past him, the Manxman. Well, that's a very wide line there from the Parabolium car, but able to keep it on the track. That's Eric Haag who rang out wide there. But there's Josh Thompson then in the striking livery with, of course, the Verstappen Racing livery there with Team Redline running their effort on iRacing. And yeah, it's a very, very striking livery that it's got that orange, you know, so the Dutch orange there, but it's also got that sort of Red Bull deep blue, hasn't it, on that paint. So it looks all right, does that? It's the first time I've seen it in a broadcasted race. So as Thompson now trying to move past, speaking of moving past, Tim Perry's making moves on Lars Van Rijn into turn number 2, and he gets the job done as well.
Very nice indeed, but Van Rijn having to play this one clever though, as Tim Perry goes by. Lars Van Rijn, he's just got to think about getting the best point haul possible, keep the car clean and run your own pace here, because he's got a great advantage over his AM class rivals in terms of the championship anyway, as Leon Penn in the Pure Sims Lamborghini. Very nice clean move there, very smooth. And they all get through. It actually checks up the field right behind, and this is where you've got to be so careful at Hockenheimring. There's certain pinch points where you've really got to be ready for the cars to slow up more than you maybe expected in front, as Centric has a big look up the inside, and I think there was a bit of contact there.
Yes, Alan Centric, and I believe that's Jack Osborne as well. Look at the wide line. I mean, Selim, you've got to be careful of your track limits in this one. Paul Webster, he's loitering with intent in this one. He's wanted to get some points back from Mark Hutchinson, and down into the hairpin. I hear contact going on. Tom Brown, and is that Josh Thompson? It is! My goodness, Josh Thompson! What on earth has happened? That's
a big one as well. There's a lot of damage to that BMW of Josh Thompson. So, those colours have not brought him much luck tonight. Had a decent run in race 1, but let's see what happens here as well. Coming around, and does it all check up in front of him, or?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. That's that.
Oh my word!
It's that late move, isn't it?
There's a late move, and there's a right hand down. That is, oh dear me.
Yeah, it's into that braking zone, isn't it? It was Tom Brown.
Did Tom Brown hit the grass? Because the car just speared right so fast.
I think he was caught out by how early the cars in front of him were braking.
Maybe.
As race lead, there is a change of race lead at the front. You can see it on your timing tower on the left-hand side, and there you go. The Satellite Racing, Adam State, he's not had the best of seasons, but he has got ahead of Kevin Kittelman in this one. Right now, what he needs to do is try and run away at the front, and that's going to be crucial for him. It's down the inside. That's Mark Hutchinson and Reese Carroll. Carroll's not a respecter of egos or reputations, and Carroll just went round the outside of turn 10.
Wow, yeah, that's certainly, yeah, that's not, like you say, not respecting of the ego at all. But wow, what a move there! As Adam Watson trying to make progress now, having served a back of the grid penalty in race 1, trying to make the moves. And we've seen it all season long. Adam has really dragged as much performance as possible out of the Porsche. Now, who has that come from early pit service? Who is that?
Andy Archer and Jack Sedgwick.
Ooh, so Cedric, of course, second in race 1, fastest lap of the race in race 1. He obviously wants some clean air, does the NX Ferrari driver.
Philip Koenig is on pit road, Adam Hedgecock, Chris van der Ness, Ben Gregory. So these are drivers who are down there in that pack, aren't they? That were in those packs trying to get themselves a little bit of clean air, aren't they? That's what they're gambling on right now. Get some clean air and get some fast laps in.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying in a way. That's the theory of pitting early. I wonder if we'll see Ross McFarlane do it. We've seen in these situations before, we've seen him effectively just pit as late as possible and let everyone pit in front of him, and sort of hopefully the field parks in front of him. That's usually what we've seen, but tonight may well be different, as Adam Watson, the motorsport engineering student, so he's maybe that's why he's getting such great performance out of the car, because he knows how to set it up properly.
Possibly so.
Although tap him up for a setup.
I do know that I've got a little bit of insider knowledge with Team Mad, and I do know that they do have somebody who works with the team to get them a good setup with that Porsche. And again, that's another team that's stuck with the car, isn't it? We've seen it with a few teams. Pure Sims with the Lamborghinis. You got Evo SR with the Ferraris. Team Mad with the Porsche. Those teams have really stuck with the same cars. And McFarlane onto pit road. This is early.
Oh, he's made me sound silly there. He's done exactly the opposite of what I thought he would do. So he's going for the Sedgwick strategy, is Ross McFarlane. It could be that he's just covering off those that he finished nearby in race 1, possibly. I don't know. But anyway, Ross McFarlane in to take his pit stop. And for him, a clean run here with Luke McEwen not scoring anything in this race. We'll see how it shakes out with drop scores, etc. But Ross McFarlane and Luke McEwen, they could go into the final round of the season with 3 sprint races, either level on points or could even possibly be McFarlane going in as the championship leader. Who would have predicted that 7 days ago?
Salem Centre, nice little move there down the inside of Lars Van Rijn. Van Rijn, he can't afford to keep on falling backwards though, because now he's got an AM driver right behind him and Jack Osborne for Century Sim Racing. So Van Rijn's got to play canny, hasn't he? And he can't afford to lose too many more positions.
I think he's got to worry about where Whitehouse is. As long as he's got a good delta and we've got plenty of cars between him and Whitehouse, just keep plugging away, just keep lapping as consistently as he has been doing, and he'll be fine. He'll be absolutely fine. And it would be totally understandable right now for Lars Van Rijn to have a bit of the jitters because it really has switched round in his favour this round, and I think he knows exactly the opportunity he has, and sometimes that can get the nerves jangling possibly.
I can tell you, James, Whitehouse is 25th right now and has had a pit stop, don't forget.
But still needs another.
Yeah, will need another pit stop. You're absolutely right there, Peter. Do you know who's got the fastest lap, by the way? Or at least I noticed this earlier on. I do believe that it is actually one of our drivers who was pitted, Marvin Lesmorman, the other driver who has got a 1:36.9.
Quite impressive. I mean, that's the same lap time that Luke McEwen, our championship leader, set. The fastest lap was just under 1:36.6, which was just taken by Jack Sedgwick. Ross McFarlane just a couple of hundreds behind that. So that Lesmorland on some fantastic pace in that German sim racing Audi. Again, the German sim. Whoa, and Reese oh dear, Reese Carroll, that was a pretty aggressive block there, it must be said. But Adam Watson, it's not perturbed him. He's thought, okay, is that how we're playing it? Then it's stand by, let me come up with another move. But that was pretty stern defence there from Reese Carroll.
And we've seen how Adam Watson can really get stuck in as well in this season, and in more ways than one, unfortunately, it must be said for Adam. And he's getting himself sorted out and out there, and he's trying to fight with Reese Carroll then out there on track, and they're behind Eric Haag, who fairly and legitimately, oh, right, as I say that, he's going onto pit road, but he was fairly and legitimately in that position, and was well within his rights to defend. Watson ducking right, left, trying to get Reece Carroll offline to set him up for a move. And sometimes you can do that, can't you, Peter? Think ahead and outthink your opponent and try and get the move done a few corners in advance.
Well, here you want to try and use that traction of the Porsche, but actually the change of direction speed of the Lamborghini really playing nicely there through turns 2 and 3, and yeah, that really playing into, that was a great little section there from Reece Carroll, and that's actually given him enough of a buffer there to sort of thwart the challenge from Adam Watson, at least for another lap or two. You would think that Watson with the Porsche may be able to break that a little bit later, maybe, but well, we'll see. It's a fascinating battle between Carroll and Watson. That's for 11th place at the moment.
Leon Penn has managed to make himself up into the lead of the race as Lee Berridge has taken a ride down at turn number 8. And I have a funny feeling he got a little bit of assistance in that one. He's dropping down the order right now. Lee does always a pit stop, so don't be surprised to see him head on down pit road. And here we are, and that's Selim Centre behind him. And late move across from Selim. That's two late moves. One where we've seen the car in front make a late move, now one with the car behind making a late move, both making contact.
Yeah, we've seen the body language of Selim Centre. He's been very fast, Selim Centre, in that Audi, but the body language of that Audi has been overly aggressive over the next couple, over the course of the race meeting, and yeah, that's silly.
Lee's on the brakes, and
there's no excuse for that. And Selim Centre, with the amount of incidents we've just seen on camera, let alone what's happened off camera, he has to be getting close to his 20 incident point limit by now.
Well, I won't actually say whether he in particular is or not, but I can tell you that there's 2 drivers on 13 incidents.
I would put a pound on him being one of them, because we've seen him have some incidents so far, but anyway, we'll see.
But it's a lower incident count, partly because we've had that safety car as well, to be fair, but maybe drivers have just learned that they need to respect the track limits a bit more, as there's a move down the inside, and that's Adrianson's. A little bit forceful with Van Rijn, and that's lost him enough of place with Webster, and now Reece Carroll is getting involved with him. Van Rijn getting a little bit freight trained out there.
Yeah, that big move there from Adrianson's, that was almost sort of Kelvin van der Linde style, and it is an Audi as well, and yeah, that did sort of shove Van Rijn wide and lost a lot of positions, and lose a lot of lap time as well. So, but Van Rijn is just going to keep it cool, just saying, okay, you go ahead. If you're going to drive like that, then you might see the car in the fence 3 or 4 corners later. So Van Rijn's just got to keep to his plan, keep tricking away those laps, and he'll still get a really good bag of points for his championship campaign.
As we see the drivers heading through turn 1, there's Adrianson, he's got Webster behind. Drivers are pitting. Over half of the field has pitted in this second race so far. And of course it's shorter pit stops because of that safety car after turn 1. Lap 1, turn 1 incident. Here we are on board with Reece Carroll. We've been saying that he's a respecter of no reputations. Webster keeping it over to the left-hand side, almost as if he's not trying to defend that move down the inside. And Carroll says, well, thank you very much. Oh, and I'll push you out the way as well.
Yeah, Webster just left the room, they left the door open, and Carroll kicked it down.
To be fair to Carroll, though, he has actually backed off and let Webster back past. So yeah, I think he realised.
I'm not sure if that's entirely necessary, but very noble nonetheless.
I mean, pushing a driver off the track, leaving them no space on track, is it's questionable, and I think it's best to keep on the steward's good books and think, do you know what? Actually, it's maybe the best idea just to give that position back. And we're seeing it in a lot of motorsport, don't we? In the world of motorsport, where drivers almost preemptively give the place back before the stewards can have their say.
This is about as controversial as my opinions will get on here, but the give the position back process for me is incredibly flawed and incredibly open to debate, in my opinion, because it's very difficult to tell if a driver's done it on purpose or whether they made a mistake or they missed a gear or whatever, and it's very open to interpretation. I mean, just look at the end of the World Endurance Championship in Bahrain, the clash between the Porsche and the Ferrari. Oh, the position was given back. Oh, well, it lifted off. It was open to too much debate and it ended up in a mess. That's, I think, either drive-through penalties or post-race penalties.
Or time penalty, yeah.
Or time penalty, yeah, are far more elegant and far more black and white solutions, in my opinion.
As Hutchison down the inside of Lars van Rijn. So that's Hutchison up another place there, the Pro-Am Championship leader. He's up into 10th place now, but there's always a pit stop in all of this. So, yeah, everybody's just... everybody's finding themselves in little groups here around this track. There's sort of packs formed in this field, and it's all sort of spread out a little bit. And we'll have to keep an eye. McFarlane does have the fastest lap of the race now with a 36.4. That's quite the speed. In fact, that was set on the last lap of the race.
Last lap of the meeting.
Yeah. Second place, Adam State. You're seeing him right here on screen right now. Third place, Kevin Kittelman with Tim Perry and Selim Senturk. That's the battle for second through fifth. The reason why we're not showing you the leader is because he's 3.5 seconds ahead of these drivers right now. So that's these drivers running the way through. Van Rijn pits from the lower half of the top 10, and he's dropped down the field as he pits. And I've seen a yellow flag on my track map, and it's Tom Brown again.
Difficult night for Tom Brown, as you've got to move there from Tim Perry. He's going to have a look on Kittelman. Does he have to get the move done? Yes, he does. So Lamborghini on Lamborghini. Tim Perry moves up into the podium positions now, with Adam State still holding on to second. So what? Tom Brown with one of the boosted BMWs and just tries a move that's just not there.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to make a move into turn 11, isn't it?
Well, without side dooring your competitor and sending them into the gravel, yes.
It is very much a one-line corner, is that?
Yes.
Through turn 11. I have seen moves done there, but you're absolutely right. You need that cooperation between the two cars, and it was a bit of a send down the inside there.
Yeah, if you just stuff it in willy-nilly like that, then you're going to have an accident, and that's exactly what happened. That was really late, really half-baked, and that was the result. So yeah, pity. But Tim Perry, he's on the move there in the number 83 boosted Lamborghini. He's going to have a look at turn 1. Adam State sees it coming now. Adam State, is he going to take an off track and try and hold the gas open? Yes, he does. But is Perry going to get close enough to make a move on the brakes? No, he isn't. And now here comes Kittelman to try and return the favour. And they need to keep an eye on their mirror, because Selim Senturk was shown tonight that he is, well, he's not shy, he's not backwards and coming forwards, as they say here in Scotland.
Yeah, certainly not. Tim Perry, and that's the problem with going for a move into turn 1, isn't it? It compromises you then with you run out of turn 1 in towards turn number 2. And here's Kittelman down the outside. Tim Perry does have the inside line there, but Kittelman, if he can get on the power earlier with that outside line, but no, it's not forthcoming for the time being. So these drivers, they're all tripping over each other and slowing each other down. Leon Penn is rubbing his hands with glee because he's pulling away at the front of the field right now. Just looking through the field then, the top 13 have yet to pit. So they have yet to head onto pit road then. So we're going to be late with the pit stops here because of that safety car at the start of the race. You could see people pitting with about 2 laps to go here.
You could, yes, and it's going to be fascinating to see where we come out, because the leading car of those who have pitted is none other than Jack Sedgwick. Second place in race 1, fastest lap in race 1 as well, don't forget. Now he is 26.3 seconds off the leader, but he's only 20 seconds off second place, which of course is Adam State. and just just about a second or so behind him is Ross McFarlane. So this is going to be fascinating to see where do Sedgwick and McFarlane, our podium finishers, our top two from race 1, where are they going to fit into this, well, melee here with State, Perry and Kittelman et al.
Well, Senturk has just come out of pit road. He's come out behind Jack Sedgwick. So Senturk pitted from the back of this pack. So that's going to be crucial to keep an eye on, because if Sedgwick is going faster, then this pack is going to be at least in second place by the time that these three battle away and get their pit stops done. So they've got to be careful. If anything, you want to pit sooner rather than later and be able to have a chance of defending, rather than you come out to pit road, you come out and all of a sudden, oh, there's Jack, he's gone ahead of me.
It's too late. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if he comes out in front of you, you're not going to catch him. But if you pit now and come out in front of Jack Sedgwick, then at least, like you say, Paul, you're absolutely right. You've got a chance to defend. But are these drivers, Adam State, Kevin Kittelman and Tim Perry, are they thinking about winning the race overall? Are they thinking about their class positions? It's fascinating. Everybody has their own agenda. 8.5 minutes to go. It's a thrilling close to this penultimate meeting of the World GT Championship for 2022. Ross McFarlane, the championship chaser, he's in 16th, but he's got a little bit of gap between himself and Sedgwick now. He's got Selim Senturk, who has pitted ahead of him, and he's also got just a little bit clogged up behind Mark Woodhouse, who is yet to pit. There he goes, he's just gone past now.
Mark Hutchinson has come onto pit road, as has Simon Field as well, so the pit stops are coming. Mark Woodhouse is onto pit road as well, but Mark Hutchinson, your championship leader in Pro-Am, where does he come out in relation to Paul Webster? Well, Paul Webster's yet to pit, so we'll have to wait for his pit stop before we see that one. But look at that, Sedgwick move on Jack Belton, runs the outside line through that turn number 4. He's getting run all the way around the outside of the long sweeping left-hander here, but that gives him the inside for the hairpin at turn number 6. It's going to be on the brakes, and you would imagine that Jack Sedgwick will get that done. Park it on the apex, perfectly done. We're back up to that lead battle then. And if anything, State has pulled away from Tim Perry. If I'm Kevin Kittelman in all of this, I sit behind these two, let them fight, and just worry about my own points, because he is the leading driver in this race right now. Tim Perry and Adam State, they're fighting in Pro-Am here.
Absolutely. If you're Kevin Kittelman, your job's pretty much done here. You've just got to get it to the flag now, hit your apexes, and just run your pace. Reese Carroll may arrive on the scene. Yes, he I think he will. He's about a second quicker than Kevin Kittelman, but that's okay. He'll know that. So Kevin Kittelman, again, he's just got to keep clicking out those lap times, because once Reese Carroll does arrive on the scene, there's another few seconds back to Adam Watson, who is much closer in pace. So it's, I think Kittelman's in a perfect position here, and a class win within his grasp.
As Paul Webster comes out of pit road, where is Mark Hutchinson? He is right there. They're alongside each other as they come out of the pit lane. Webster's behind Hutchinson. So that Pro-Am Championship, the two championship leaders of Webster and Hutchinson absolutely together, nose to tail, with 6 minutes to go here in this race. That could be an interesting dynamic as we head on through, because Webster, he's got a double slipstream here. Hutchinson has got Andy Archer in front of him for the Century Sim Racing outfit. Webster right now, though, double slipstream and gets a wheel on the grass there. Well held.
Very well held indeed, yeah, and barely loses any lap time as well. That's incredible from Paul Webster. He's trying in that Team Mad Porsche, desperately trying to get onto the case, put Mark Hutchinson under pressure in the Evo SR Ferrari. They are playing for keeps, and they are playing for the Pro-Am Championship.
Leon Penn heads onto pit road from race lead, so he had a good 6 Also, second lead, Adam State, Tim Perry, Kevin Kittleman, Reese Carroll. They're all heading down pit road right now. Adam Watson as well, I would imagine. Now, Christian Rose is someone who's normally good with the fuel, but no, he's heading down pit road as well for his pit stop, as Paul Webster has actually let the German sim racing car of Volkovich. And Webster's had a technical problem. That is a hardware failure.
Oh, what timing to have a... Oh, that's gutting for Paul Webster and the 888 Porsche. Well, 8s are meant to be lucky, but not in this situation. Oh, that's devastating there for the Team Mad driver, because, yeah, that definitely was a hardware failure. And it almost as if he knew it was going to happen, and he pulled out the way, and then that was when the failure took place. So great presence of mind there from Paul Webster, it must be said. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, Ross McFarlane's catapulted up into 4th position as everyone's taking their pit stops. He's just gone by Adam State and is right on the case of Selim Senturk. Now, Ross McFarlane has got to tread carefully here. We've seen Senturk be a little bit on the erratic side so far this race. McFarlane's had a huge haul of points tonight. Doesn't want to jeopardise that now with less than 4 minutes to go.
Especially with no Luke McEwen on the grid for the second race, and we don't know why. Yeah, absolutely, so something's happened there, but yeah, Penn, Sedgwick and Senturk, and Leon Penn has got a comfortable lead at the front for Pure Sims Esports, it must be said as well. So Pure Sims Esports have had a very, very good evening. Of course, Ross McFarlane winning race number 1. They also had Michael Evdoka finishing on the podium in race number 1 as well, and it's looking like, if McFarlane can make it past Senturk, looking like another double podium for the Pure Sims Esports outfit. Really good evening for them. There's Adam State, though, Satellite Racing. He wants to move forward as well, because Senturk is a Pro-Am. He wants to beat him as McFarlane to the inside. Senturk holding that wide line for Team Year 1. But McFarlane, good move. Now he's got to try and stay ahead of Senturk.
That was a very clean move there from Ross McFarlane. Very well done. However, yes, this is where the danger, the counter-attack can come at the Spitzke, at this very deep braking zone into the hairpin. Senturk's going to try. He's trying braking as late as he dares, but McFarlane's just got the better of him. So McFarlane up into a podium position and, well, a win and a third. I mean, it doesn't really get much better on the night when a feature race. Heading into the 3 sprint races at the Red Bull Ring next week, Ross McFarlane has done absolutely everything he can to maintain his chances of fighting for a 2nd World GT title in a row.
You never know. You never know indeed, but it's looking very good for him. Of course, this is the final round with drop scores. We've got 1 more week to go, and it's whatever you score next week is what you take to that final championship point tally. So no drop score for the final week of the championship here. But McFarlane, very, very good in this race. Is ahead of Senturk with Adam State. Quickly just run you through some of your runners. So as you can see, Senturk is in 4th place. He's your top Pro-Am with Adam State, the 2nd place Pro-Am. Right behind him in 5th place with Tim Perry, 8th place. Overall, he's your 3rd place Pro-Am. Top Am, Kevin Kittleman, after the pit stops there, is 11th place. So that's an incredible position for him right now. The next Am is Jack Osborne in 17th place with Lars Van Rijn 21st. So again, Van Rijn, he's still ahead of James Whitehouse. That's crucial for him in terms of the championship. Evdoka now making a move at Adam State. So too is Philip Koenig for the German SimRacing.de team. Not able to get ahead of State though, but time is running out here. And if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be very, very close to the possibility of getting an extra lap here. We should get an extra lap.
Yes, I think we are just a no more. Well, I hope everyone's got enough fuel in. We're going to force it and no more. As Leon Penn comes around, this is going to be very close, actually. As Leon Penn comes into the stadium section, I think just about we are going to force an extra lap. There we go. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, and it has been confirmed it was a hardware failure for Paul Webster. He's just come into our chat, so thank you for that, Paul. Really, really unlucky evening for Paul Webster, but Leon Penn, he had a penalty in race number 1, meant that he started at the back of the grid. He started near the front of this one. Adrianson's onto pit road. At the end here, it's not a drive-through penalty, so he must be having to do a splash and dash, must Jensen, because it is a second pit stop for him. So yeah, splash and dash for Jensen Adriansons. That's going to help a number of drivers out there. That just means that, yeah, looking at the Centurk then, your top pro-am, 4th place, with Adam State now down to 7th, and Tim Perry, 8th place pro-am. But Leon Penn, we've hardly talked about him, haven't we, Peter? He's just been, once he got into the lead, he's just walked away.
Yeah, he's driven beautifully, has Leon Penn. It wasn't easy to get to the front of the field. He really had to fight his way through, but ever since, he's just been clicking off those really consistent lap times. His fastest lap is up there with the very best, a 136.5. That's only topped by his teammate Ross McFarlane, 136.35. So yeah, it's been a masterclass here from Leon Penn, and what a night for Pure Sims, my goodness.
Yeah, Pure Sims Esports have got that Lamborghini absolutely nailed down here in the World GT Championship. Just 2 more corners for Leon Penn, and then he can see that checkered flag. Comes around the final corner, Barney is waving it, and it's a win for Leon Penn. Fantastic result for Pure Sims Esports. Jack Sedgwick is in 2nd place. Oh, I thought that was McFarlane for a second, but it is Evdoka who's gone for a spin. He's going to get back up running in that one, but it is Sedgwick in 2nd, McFarlane in 3rd. Selim Centurk is the winner in Pro-Am. Top Am is Kevin Kittleman, so he was able to hang on to 10th place in the end as other cars coming across the line. Late moves there, Pete Harrod, Alex Neller, and further down, a very, very damaged Jack Belton. That move, I never thought that was on there, Martin. Oh, that was a bit of an ambitious move there, wasn't it, Peter?
Yeah. Well, we said we might see a few of them here at Hockenheim, and yeah, we weren't let down on that assumption. But what a race meeting, drama all the way through.
Yeah, there are still cars coming across the line, but we'll be able to give you some of your unofficial race results here for race number 2 of the evening in the World GT Championship. Leon Penn is your race winner for Pure Sims Esports with Jack Sedgwick. 2nd place for Was Cooking by 3M. Ross McFarlane makes it a Pure Sims 1-3 once again in both races for race number 2. Selim Centurk for Team Year 1, your top Pro-Am in this race ahead of Philip Koenig. Adam State for Satellite Racing. He led for a little while in this race, ends up in 6th place. Tim Perry for Boosted Virage in 7th place. Reese Carroll 8th with Kevin Kittleman, your top Am for Indy Autosport Red in 9th place, and Michael Evdoka then getting classified in 10th place. Adam Watson for Team Mad moves up to 11th place ahead of Mark Hutchinson. Adam Volkovich, Christian Rose, Andy Archer with Jack Osborne then the next Am driver. 2nd place in Am, 16th place for Century Sim Racing. Marvin Lesmolman, Pete Harrod, Alex Neller and Jensen Adriansson, who had to take a late pit stop. 21st is Lars van Rijn, 3rd place in Am in the end. It was looking promising for him at the start, but seemed to move backwards through the field partway through that race. Lee Berridge ahead of Matt Woodhouse with Michael Blake. Ben Gregory, Martin de Jong, James Whitehouse, he was your Am Championship leader coming into this week. He's had a bit of a mare out there down in 27th. Tom Brown, Jack Belton and Chris van der Ness round out the top 30. Simon Field then in 31st, Ed John Roberts, Nicholas Salaputis with Jesse Payne Wilkins, Andy Gilmore and Toby Ward. Drivers one lap down, Ashley Finch and Brendan Stacey, and those drivers that did not finish, Adam Hedgecock, Paul Webster with that hardware failure, Eric Haag, David Nichols, Graham Sesford, should I say, Craig Jones and Josh Thompson with that one. Peter, we've not got a lot of time here. That was our final feature race round of the season. Next week is your championship finale where everything is on the line pretty much.
Yeah, it is. It is on the line, and not just in the pro class between Luke McEwen and Ross McFarlane, but in the AM class between Whitehouse and Lars van Rijn. Mark Hutchison, he did what he needed to do to get a really strong lead in the Pro-Am Championship, and of course Paul Webster with that really unfortunate technical failure costing him not valuable, critical points, really, it must be said. What happened to Luke McEwen in that second race? Where was he? We don't know. We just do not know. Tried to find out during the race there. No idea what happened to him. How important are those drop points going to be? We'll find out. But you can be sure we're in for a thriller in 7 days' time.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 days' time then for the championship finale, and it is going to be around the Red Bull Ring. 3 20-minute sprint races for the championship finale. I hope that you are all going to join us for that one. From Paul Smith, Peter Mackay on commentary, from Tyler Maxson on production, from everybody here at RaceSpotTV, it's goodbye.